Hello, it's Wallace. As you are well aware, the world has been in a surreal sort of turmoil for quite a while now. In the midst of this turmoil, I lived with a healthcare worker and so took isolating extremely seriously. I had one of the toughest academic semesters of my life, and I watched as my family dog got sick and passed away. This mix of fear, stress, and grief resulted in a funny sort of behavior. Namely, I avoided things that once had made me happy. But as I tried to climb my way out of the hole that is 2020, I want to fill my life up again with fairy lights. And before this wretched year began, the brightest of my fairy lights were writing and the Authortube community. So for my first video in a long while, I wanted to show the setup of my author journal. Although, as you can see here, I call it a story journal because at the time I convinced myself that author journal was too pretentious. For this first part of the journal, I went with a lavender theme just because I wanted there to be pops of color, but also in a way that I would find calming and inspiring and not overwhelming. And also lavender flowers, let's be honest, aren't that hard to draw. Speaking of which, all of my decorative inspiration for the most part came from the incomparable Amanda Rach Lee. I'll link her channel below. She's an incredible planner. You should check her out if this is the sort of thing you're interested in. After making my title page and a generic writing goals page, the first page that I see myself using every single day in this journal is my trackers page. That will last until the end of the year, but I left myself an extra page so I can continue it on to 2021. The 3 things I want to be tracking every day are writing, reading, and filming. This next page is a place for brain dump. Basically, it's a brainstorm page, and in fact, I have a lot of these throughout the journal. I have, in general, a lot of blank pages because I want this journal to grow with me. I didn't want to have it be too structured, just in case there were other formats I came up with after making this. I wanted to leave myself that freedom. After this was my Authortube section, but I skipped it to plan for last. Now, the rest of the journal I have split into 4 sections. 3 sections for the 3 stories I'm actively working on, and a 4th that I've let blank to make room in case my brain tries to cram in a 4th project. At the start of each project section in this journal, I wanted to have a full spread where on one page would be the title, and on the other page there would be a quote from the story. This section is for a story I wrote all the way back in 2015. It deals with a lot of astronomical themes, as you can tell from the washi tape and the diagram I'm currently drawing, and it's got a very academic vibe as well, so I tried to make this page look like it could be the astronomy notes from one of my characters' notebooks. And since another theme of this story is people who are haunted by grief, the quote I decided on was, "All she was now was a ghost." I ended up leaving the title page blank. I do have a title for this story, but it is technically just a working title, and I didn't want to put anything in ink if it wasn't going to be permanent. Here I'm working on my roadmap page. All of my stories have this page, and it's basically just a little way for me to keep track of what part of the process I'm in. So for example, this story, I've gone through the drafting, the editing stage, and I'm currently on the querying stage. I also wrote little notes like when my first draft was finished and the fact that I'd had a professional editor look at the first few chapters of this story last year. I left about 30 or so pages blank to build on later as I continue work on that story, and I moved on to the second story I'm working on, the working title of which is Helical Rising. The main arc of this story is about a young runaway girl looking for revenge, and so the quote I chose was, "My marble wardens watched as I ran towards that violent destiny." If you're curious, the last video I put up before this one is my breakdown of how NaNoWriMo went for me, and I also did daily vlogs during NaNoWriMo that detailed my way through my first draft of this story. Once again, I left a large chunk of blank pages so that my work on this story could grow, and then I came to the third section. And this story is a little bit unique compared to the others in that I have no intention of ever publishing it. It's going to be a gift for my sister, and its purpose in life is to get her excited for Halloween. And so for this one, I just wrote, "Oh, so aesthetically pleasing," because that is the point. And the name of the book is "This Book is for October." Since I have no intention of ever publishing it, I was pretty comfortable including the title. I've had the title in my mind for a while, and since I'm going to give it to her for this October, it seems unlikely to me that it will change. With my sections now organized for my stories, I flipped all the way back to the middle of the journal to work on my Authortube section. In the beginning of this video, I mentioned that I haven't been participating in Authortube since basically the start of the year. The funny thing is, I had actually filmed about 5 videos this spring, but ended up chickening out of each one of them, thinking that what I wanted to say wasn't worth saying, let alone uploading to the internet. Not only have I not been keeping up with my own channel, but I haven't even been watching videos of the people I follow and subscribe to, and I definitely have noticed that it's a missing hole in my life. And so I wanted to have an entire section in this journal dedicated to this part of the writing process, because last fall I felt I did some of my best writing being part of the Authortube community, and so I wanted to have a place where I could keep track of all of my video ideas and keep track of any creators I want to check out. In this section, I also wanted to make sure I had space to make monthly layouts where I could visualize how I was going to spend the month on Authortube, whether that was through attending live streams or my own upload schedule. I also included a little space for video ideas that I could pull from my larger list and write on here so that I knew specifically which videos I would be filming and uploading. I definitely think this is a wiser strategy than my strategy in the past of just keeping ideas in my head. This will help me organize, it'll help me look ahead, and it will give me a list to pull from if I'm ever feeling uncreative or not sure what to film. After struggling momentarily with some washi tape, I marked out some days next week where I'm going to be attempting and filming a writing experiment. And after setting up my calendar, I just did one final flip through to make sure that everything was in its place and that I hadn't forgotten any pages. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so excited to interact with everyone again, and I'm looking forward to all the creative antics in the future.